Hello students, again we are going to continue with the chapter number 2 and lecture number 27. In last lecture we have seen only one question, that is explain various elements of .aspx file. So this is the first question of unit number 2 chapter 4. So basically ASP.NET page contains directives, code declaration block, ASP.NET controls, code render block, server side comments, server side include directive, literal text and HTML tags. So these are the elements of .aspx file. In today's lecture, we are going to see different directives. We have already learned that is how to use directive. That is, first line of your page basically contains triangular bracket percentage at the rate page. Okay, so page is nothing but one of the directive. So like page, we are having so many directives which are supported by the ASP.NET page. So basically, what are the directives? So directives configure the runtime environment that will execute the page. Okay, so this is nothing but directive will help us uh, for the execution of a page at the runtime. Runtime means once we started the execution for the page. So we are having different directives which are supported by the ASP.NET page. So first directive is @page. Remember that whenever you will write the name of the directive, just put @ okay, in before starting of the directive. So @page, this is the first directive. This particular directive basically defines page specific attributes that guide the behavior of the page compiler and language parser that will pre-process the page. In case of page, you can make use of @language also. Both will perform the same thing. Basically, with the help of page directive, we provides the attributes which are related to page, like the language in which you are going to write the program. So that language we will provide to the page directive. Okay, with the help of language equal to C#, like that we can write. So this is first directive, that is page directive. Second one is @control. This particular directive defines control specific attributes that guide the behavior of the control compiler. Okay, so basically to control the components or controls which are available on the screen. Now I am not telling about this directive control, I am talking about the toolbox control. Okay, the controls which we are having in the toolbox. So to manage the behavior of all the controls, this particular directive, that is @control directive, is used. Basically we are mostly using two directives only, that is page and import. Whatever programs we are going to learn in the practical, in those we are going to use these two directives, and that is also we don't need to specify, or everything will be by default available. But in case of CSS and all program, we will just add some attributes to this directive. But we are going to use page and import, but other than that also we are having some directives. So the third directive is @import. This directive indicates a namespace to import into a page or user control. So if you want to, like we have already seen, we are having two types of coding methodologies, that is code behind and inline coding. So in case of inline coding, what we did, we never have .cs page, that is coding page is not there. Code we write inside the HTML tag with the help of a script tag only, right? So in that situation, if we want to have some namespaces to be used or required for that particular coding, then we can make use of this particular directive, that is import directive, with the help of which we can import the namespaces or the external files also imported with the help of import directive. Then the next one is @implements. This particular directive indicates that the page or the user control implements a specified .NET framework interface. Means sometimes what happen, if I have developed the program using Microsoft Visual 2010, then that program will be supported in 12 also, 14 also. Reverse order it is not possible. but the program which is designed in Microsoft Visual Studio 2010 can be run in Microsoft Visual Studio 2012. So in that situation, we want to have all the controls which are present in 2010 or designed with the help of 2010 should be appear in the same manner as in case of 2012. So in that situation, we can make use of @implements directive, which basically deals with the pages which we have imported, user controls, okay, and that should be supported in different .NET frameworks. That is, as we change the software, .NET framework also changes. Next directive is @register. Basically, this particular directive create custom tag in the page or the control. The new tag, prefix and name is associated with the namespace and code of the user defined control. Basically, whatever programs we are going to design or we are going to write, we are basically using the default controls which are available. But suppose if you want to create custom tag, like in case of XML, okay, in XML we can create our own tags. So in that situation, we can make use of this register directive. Next is assembly. @assembly links an assembly to the current page or user control. Again, with the help of assembly, we can connect the different controls like .dll files to the current page, okay, or the user control. Next, we are having output catch. This particular directive controls the output catching policies of a page or user control. Means basically it deals with the in which way the output is going to get display on the screen, or all the events like post back methods are properly initialized or not, or so that is totally the output, the content related to output is controlled with the help of output catch. It basically, catch means it's a kind of memory which will store the activities or the output which are displayed till now. So that information will be available with the help of @output catch directive. Next one is @reference. This particular directive links a page or user control to current page or user control. Means if you want to connect different sites to our current page, then in that situation we can make use of @reference. Means it helps us or allow us to provide a reference web pages to the current page. So that was the different types of directives which are supported by the ASP.NET. Now we are having next question, that is anatomy of ASP.NET application. This question is already asked, that is first question is asked. So basically anatomy contains two types of files, okay. So we are having ASP.NET file types like .aspx file which we are using, or we are having .cs file. These two files we have already used, but other than that also there are different types of ASP.NET files which are available in ASP.NET. So you are having the second type of question, that is list and explain various types of files which are used in ASP.NET application. So basically ASP.NET application consisting of multiple web pages, and web pages contains combination of files, pages, handlers, module, executable code that can be invoked from a virtual directory on a web server. So we are having two sections in the anatomy. Basically, if you are having anatomy, then you have to explain ASP.NET file types, and there is one more point. And if you are having question as explain, list and explain the various types of files which are used in ASP.NET application, then just explain the A part, that is ASP.NET file types. So we are having first type of file, that is .ascx. .ascx is the extension for web user control file, okay, web user control file, and it resides inside application root directory or subdirectory. Means in this explanation you will get to see the different types of file extensions. and what that particular files are named as. And after that there is one more information which you have to remember, that is in which folder. Directory means in which folders this basically files are present by default, or after execution they are stored in which folder, that you have to remember. So first file is .astx file, which is nothing but the web user control file, and basically it resides, that is it's present inside application root directory folder. After that we are having .aspx file. So .aspx file refers to ASP.NET Web Forms, and it resides application root directory or subdirectory. Again in the same folder this particular file is also available. Then we are having .dll. Basically we are having one topic, that is assembly. In that we are having this particular type of file .dll, that is compiled class library file. Okay, it resides inside bin directory. Means if you open the folder or just go to the software, that is where it is installed, Microsoft Visual Studio, in that you will be getting so many folders. So it's not the case that all the files are stored inside the same folder. For different types of file we are having different folders also. So first two files which we have seen, that is .ascx, .aspx, are stored inside root directory. Then we are having .dll file. DLL file is nothing but a compiled class library file which is reside in bin folder. You will get to see this file inside bin folder. Then we are having fourth type of file, that is .cs. As we are having ASP.NET using C#, we will be having .cs. Similarly, we can write or we can use ASP.NET with the help of VB also. Okay, so for that extension is .vb. So we are having .cs, .vb, .jsl file. So these are nothing but the source code file which contains the actual code which we want to execute when we execute the particular web page, run the particular web page. So .cs is nothing but the source code file. Okay, and it resides inside app_code subdirectory. So where you will get to see your .cs code inside app_code subdirectory. Then we have .master. We are having one practical which is basically on the master page. So when we are using master page, we will get the file with the extension .master. So basically .master refers to the master page, and which actually defines the common format, background format for all the web pages to which that particular master page is connected. And .master page file you will get inside the folder, that is application root folder. You will get to see .master file. Then we have .mdf and .sdf. Basically when we are dealing with the ADO.NET, that is database connectivity, so in that situation we are going to have these two types of file, that is .mdf and .sdf. So .mdf and .sdf basically refers to SQL database file, and which reside inside app_data directory, data folder. Okay, app_data, this is the name of the folder. After that, next type of file again which we are going to use in one of our practical, that is .sitemap. This particular file refers to sitemap file which contains the structure of a website. Means we are having tree structure of or tab structure that we can create with the help of sitemap. And basically it is named as a map. What is use of map? With the help of map we can find a particular location. So here in our case we are having tree like structure. So on tree we will be having menus or sub menus. So each and every sub menus or menus are connected to a specific file. So just by clicking that particular menu we will route to a specific web page. So sitemap means it is named as map because it provides us to go to a particular website. So it is a combination of two words, that is website. Okay, so if you want to map or if you want to find out the route for a specific website, then we can make use of this particular file, that is sitemap file. We are going to have practical on it, so it will be clear to you. Now for this question, just remember the different types of file. and this particular file is again stored inside the application root directory. So application root folder in which it is stored. Then we have .skin file. It is again refers to the skin file. It is used for consistent formatting in web control. Again we are going to have the practical on skin file also. That is basically, in simple words, I just want to tell you that we are using we can make use of HTML tags like paragraph or heading tags are there. So if we want to add a specific type of formatting to such type of tag, then we are actually making use of skin file. In skin file we can set the different attributes for all those controls, HTML controls. So basically skin file will be stored inside app underscore themes subdirectory, and actually this particular folder you will get to see inside Solution Explorer. When we open the particular website, Solution Explorer is already there, so you will get to see this file. Okay, or we can create this particular type of folder, that is app underscore theme folder we can create, and then we will be having different types of file which are stored inside that folder. Then next one is .xml. Again we are going to use this particular file. .xml file is used to create XML code. You were having one subject in first year, uh, web designing. So in that you have learned this particular topic, XML, that is extensible markup language. With the help of this we can create our own tags. So this type of XML file also possible to be created in ASP.NET with the help of XML file. Then we have .config. Basically there is one file, web.config, which is by default available. So the config stands for configuration. So this is nothing but the application configuration file that may be used to store application settings. Means if you want to set a username or password for your web page when we execute it, so in that situation we can make all the password related setting inside config file. So basically it is related to configuration of your specific page. For each and every web page we are having this file, web configuration file. And the last type of file is .css. That is CSS, again you know, cascading style sheet. If you want to create more attractive, more beautiful web page, then in that situation we have to add extra features to the tags, HTML tags. Okay, and that is possible with the help of .css file. So this is the first element, that is under anatomy of ASP.NET application. First topic is ASP.NET files, and the second is ASP.NET application directories. Means now in file section we have seen that this particular file is stored inside app underscore theme folder, application root folder, okay, bin folder. So these are nothing but the folders which are available in ASP.NET. So other than these folders we are having so many other folders also. So the second part is ASP.NET application directory. So if you are having question as explain the anatomy, then you have to explain both, that is different file types and different directories, okay, which are available in ASP.NET application. So we are referring or ASP.NET application directive. So first folder is bin directory. Basically all the pre-compiled .NET assemblies like DLL files and all are present inside bin. Bin is actually main folder. In case of Turbo C also we are going to have, or we are using this bin. Even when we are using Java, then in that situation also property setting we went to this folder, bin folder, so that all the default or pre-compiled inbuilt files which are available in that particular folder will be accessible to us. So bin is very important folder for all programming languages. In after installation of almost all the programming languages, if we went to that installation folder, then we will be able to get this folder, that is bin folder, which is very important. After that we are having app underscore code directory. So basically this folder contains source code like .cs, .vb files are automatically saved inside app underscore code directory. Okay, then next type of file is app underscore global resources directory. It contains stores global resources that are accessible to every page. Means if we want some images to be accessible for all the pages, then in that situation we can store that images inside app underscore global resources, so that for each and every page that image will be available. And next we are having app underscore local resource. Basically local resource is similarly to the global resource only, but it is available to the locally. Means if we are having web page, if we are taken created one new web page, and in that we have added the folder, and suppose in that folder we are having some images, so that particular folder or that particular images are accessible to the current page only, not to the other page which are present in the same website. So that is nothing but app underscore local resources. That is called, that particular folder is stored inside app underscore local resources. Means all the resources which are available inside this folder are available only for the dedicated page only. Next we are having app underscore web references directory. It stores reference to the web services that the web application uses. Okay, like security services we are having, or password management if you want to perform. So all these services or information related to this service is available inside app underscore web reference directory. Then we have app underscore data folder. So basically this particular folder is reserved for data storage. Means it contains .css file, .mdf file, .xml file, so many types of different types of file which contains the data that are stored inside app underscore data folder. Then we have app underscore browser directory. It contains browser definitions stored in XML files. In XML file we can have the information related to the browser. So inside app underscore browser folder you will we will get to see the .xml files, and these are not the files which are created by us, these are the default files which we will get. And the last folder is app underscore themes directory. It contains collection of all files like .skin file, .css file, all these files which are related to actually look and feel are stored inside app underscore theme. Okay. And then last topic for today's lecture is page class. You will be having question as write a note on page class. Basically when we take waveform, that particular waveform is nothing but a web page, okay, in which by default @page directive is present. So this is nothing but important or main page. So when ASP.NET page is requested and renders markup to a browser, ASP.NET creates instance of the class that represents our page. That class is composed not only of the code that wrote for the page, but also code that is generated by the ASP.NET. Means basically when we run a specific page, it's not the case that whatever controls we have added that displayed and the coding which we have done in .cs file that will be executed, but other than that there are so many events which are related to page class occurs. Okay, so we are having different events that we are going to see in page life cycle. We are going to elaborate more on this particular topic, that is page class. But whenever you will be having write a note on, then you just have to explain 1-2 points about the page class and explain the page class properties. So first properties is post backed. Again all the properties which are presented on the current slide, we are going to have practicals on them, so it will be clear with the example that time only. Now just remember the theory part, that is post back. This is one of the property of page class which returns the value as boolean, means it gives us answer as true or false. Basically this particular property indicates whether the page is run for the first time or it is resubmitted. Means sometimes what happened, we write some part of the code, then we see the execution whether whatever we have written that is working properly or not. And again after, if you are running the same web page after having or after adding some more content, So first time that particular page is already loaded and you are again sending a request to reload the page. Okay, so that information you will get with the help of ease post back. That is first time whether you are going to run the page or this page is already run, that you can find out with the help of ease post back property. Okay, next property of page class is enable view state. We are having one topic that is state management. So all the other properties are related to the topic that is state management, which is part of unit number 3. So in that we are going to learn everything. So enable view state means with the help of when the value for this particular property is set false, then this overrides the enable view state property of the contained control, thereby ensuring that no controls will maintain the state information. Means if this particular property is set to false, because of which what will happen, each and every control, suppose first time we have executed the program and we have checked one particular checkbox and we have set this property enable view state property to false, because of which what will happen, next time when you will run the program you will get that checked in front of the checkbox only. Means the page will store the previous information only, not the current or new information you will get to see. So that is view state. It shows the state. It is actually, this particular property is related to each and every controls which are available or present on the web page. That particular control will maintain their old state only when even though we run that program newly. Then we have application property. Basically this particular property holds the information that's shared between all the users in our websites. For example, if we want to have if we want to design one program, that is how many times this particular website is visited. If you want that count, that is how many users have visited the website. So in that situation we can make use of application property. With the help of application property we will come to know that how many times this particular page is visited by the customer, okay, or by the user. Next we are having session. Session means as we log into the system and after some time if we are kept login that particular for 1 hour 2 hour and again if we are revisiting the site, then we will get a message as session expired. So all the information that is related to the timing, we can say that is stored inside the session. Okay, or for this you can take one of the example, that is we are normally doing so many things online. Okay, so suppose today I have visited one site, that is amazon.com, and I have added 2-3 products, okay, which I am planning to buy. And after that I just sleep, and on second day again I am visiting the same site. Then you will able to see the items which you have added to the view cart or to the cart, right? It's not the case that today I have visited, so only today it will be visible and tomorrow I will not get to see the items which I have added to the cart. Next day also you can be able to see the item. So that is possible with the help of session, because session property helps us to store the information about a specific user or single user. So this example you can take, the same example is given on the slide also, that we are having the items which are added to the cart. Okay, then we are having request and response. Basically we are having one topic, that is cookies, under state management. In that we are going to have, actually it's not only request, it is actually HTTP request and HTTP response. These are the two classes whose object we create and which helps us to store the information. So basically HTTP request object contains the information about the current web page request. Okay, means it stores the information about user's browser. And response means from the server you will able to get the response on the browser. Means if I want to search for some topic, with the help of browser only I am searching. So when I type something and click on search button or go button, so means I have sent the request, and when that particular request is received by the server will process that request and gives us a feedback on the where we will get the feedback on the web browser only. It's not the case that somebody will come and tell the information in our ear. It's not like that. From the web browser only we make a request, and on the web browser, same web browser, we will get the response also. So for that purpose we have these two attributes, two properties are used, that is request and response. I hope this is clear to you. Whatever questions which we have done in today's session or last session, all are very very important. Basically, second unit is totally theory unit only. We are having more number of theory question on this unit number 2. So this much is there in today's session. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe.